Welcome. I'm Mark Merle. I am the Executive Director of Operations, and I'm the one that has been emailing all of you and coordinating this first meeting of the new shack under the new bylaws. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and do attendance. So based off of the bylaws, all of the attendance and voting and all of that is a roll call method. So we're just, as you introduce yourself, we're going to go table by table and just let you introduce yourself, and I'm going to be recording the attendance. And so if you will, please use the mics. Don't go too fast because I have to find your name and mark it. So it'll go real well. Hopefully it won't take too long. So if we could, we're going to start at this table over here in the first seat. You're the lucky one.
Hi, I'm Laura Lansbaum. I'm a substitute teacher in CISD.
Hi everyone, I'm Fola Adelaide, substitute teacher, Conroe ISD.
Hi, Brianne Turner. I have twins at Grand Oaks High School.
Hi everyone, my name is Selena Bodovich, and I have a sixth grade and a third grade son in the Woodlands Feeders.
I'm Anna Brown, and I have a fifth grade daughter at Mitchell.
I'm Emily Kress. I am a teacher at Snyder Elementary.
Krista Casisio, I'm a teacher at York Junior High.
Erin Miller, Grand Oaks Feeder.
Kristen Brown, Oak Ridge Feeder, with an 8th grader at Irons and a 5th grader at Suchma.
Paolo Kopesky, principal at Mitchell.
Brittany Berner, parent of a child in the Grand Oaks Feeder.
Dana Fisher, registered nurse and health services specialist.
Becky Fralix, College Park Feeder. I have a junior at College Park and two that graduated, one of which is teaching in Conroe ISD.
Bryn Maddox, I'm a parent in the Woodlands Feeder Zone, and I have one student at Woodlands High School and then 3 that are in the zone but not in school.
Carlton Todd, I'm the principal at Stockton Junior High.
Dina Graves, athletic specialist.
Rachel Jones, teacher at Bosman Intermediate.
Tina Marin, I'm a parent in the Woodlands Feeder and have 2 daughters at Powell and Mitchell.
Emily Hopple, College Park Feeder.
Barbara Robertson, Director of Health Services.
April Kersey, kiddos in College Park Feeder.
Lindsay Massey, parent in the Grand Oaks Feeder.
Lindsay Taylor, the mental health specialist in the guidance and counseling department.
Kelly Loftus, I have 2 kiddos in the College Park Feeder, one at David and one at College Park.
Tina Araujo, 2 of my children graduated at the Woodlands High School. I have a grandchild in Glen Locke Elementary, and I'm a community member. Tina Araujo, thank you.
Hi, Ashley Heinen, the Woodlands Feeder. Victoria Reed, counselor at Pete Junior High. I have a daughter at 10th grade at Conroe High School and 6th grade at Crier.
Bryce Spear, I have 5 children in the Grand Oaks Feeder.
Carrie Welch, I have 2, one in high school and one in 7th grade in the Woodlands Feeder.
Susan Moore, I'm an elementary music teacher, and I have a 7th grader, an 11th grader, and a Conroe graduate at LSU.
Hey everyone, I'm Erica Falcon, and I'm the nurse at the Woodlands High School 9th grade campus, and I also have 4 current and former Conroe ISD kiddos.
Jennifer Blackman. I have a senior and a sophomore at College Park.
Hi, I'm Brenda Cooper, and my kids are in the Woodlands High School feeder.
Rolly Chavla. I'm a parent with 2 kids in the Woodlands feeder.
Hi, Mila Cobbler, the nurse at Patterson Elementary. I also have a sophomore at Conroe High.
Hi, I'm Melanie Middleton. Melanie Middleton, and I'm the counselor at the DAP, which is the Disciplinary Alternative School here in Conroe ISD.
Wade Haymark, coordinator of PE and Health.
Holly Moore, I'm in HR with recruitment and retention, and I have 2 kids in the Grand Oaks feeder.
Kim Cameron, I have 4 children, a graduate of College Park and current high schooler and others in the College Park feeder.
My name's Jonathan Rizika. I am a Woodlands High grad, and then I have 2 kids in the Woodlands feeder at Buckaloo.
Hi, I'm Margaret Sachs. I'm the campus nurse at Cox Intermediate, and I have 2 kids who graduated through the Oak Ridge feeder zone.
Christina Davis Kankanamge, parent from the Woodlands feeder.
Hi, I'm Robin Hughes, Director of Child Nutrition.
Hi, I'm Kim McMullen. I'm a parent who has 1 who's graduated and 3 in the Woodlands feeder.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Shepard, and I can't find my name tag if anybody sees it. Oh, I'm right there. Okay, well, good. Yes. I'm a former elementary teacher and a parent of a senior and a freshman at Grand Oaks.
Okay, is that everybody? Okay, I do.
Here behind the column, Sarah Blakelock. I am the communications director, but your tech support for this meeting.
Hi, it's good to see everybody. I'm Bethany Medford, a deputy superintendent. I am a mom of 2 Conroe High grads, currently at Texas State studying education, and I'm an aunt to a Gladys Greyhound, a 1st grader, and a little lander at the Woodlands High School. So we're so glad you're here. It's one of our biggest and most productive committees, and we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, I think I did pretty good, but I did miss 4. So I'm coming back to the 4. I missed both of you. I don't know how I did that. I'm sorry. Yes. And then I had you. I'm sorry. I went backwards. I went the other way. Oh. And what's your last name again? I've looked at these. And then we had some people come in afterwards, after we started introducing. Do you want to introduce yourself, please? Yeah, you need to use the mic if you could.
Hi, Stephen Powell. I have 2 kids in the College Park feeder zone.
Great. Anybody else that came in? And then I have 2 at this table. The lady on the left and the back. Yes, ma'am. You just turned away and looked. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Okay. And then I think it was right across from you. I want to make sure.
Ashley Heinen.
No, I have you, Ashley. That was it. All right. So that does put us with a lot of folks here today. We do have a quorum of people present today, so great. So we're going to go to the next item, and first of all, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Medford. Did she just walk out? I'm not going to turn it over to Dr. Medford. We're going to go ahead and we have a video to watch from our board president, Misty Odenweller. So we're going to get that started. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the CISD Board of Trustees, I want to welcome you to SHAC. I'm unable to attend in person today, but want to first thank you for volunteering your time and second, give some introductory remarks. SHAC is a unique council that is parent-led and reports directly to the board. We value your time and appreciate your desire to improve the health of our students and our staff. Dr. Knoll recently expressed an administrative concern regarding the requests for information or data from the SHAC directly to district staff. Out of respect for that concern, please direct any SHAC request to me and I will work with the district as necessary. Again, thank you so much for your time, and we are excited to see the collaboration of this council between parents, district, and community, and look forward to the ideas and recommendations that come from SHAC this year.
All right, great. So when Dr. Medford comes back in, she wanted to say a few words, and so we'll capture that. But the first item on the next item on the agenda, I did change the one. I moved an item up just for ease for everybody. But I have item number 3 is consider approval of the October 8th, 2024 minutes. I know not everybody was there, but everybody has seen the minutes, and we need to close that meeting out before we go. So I need a motion and a second. If we have, I'm going to need, sorry, I have to do names, so there's a lot of you. So if I could have a name, and if you would use the mic, please.
Christina Davis Kankanabgay, motion to approve.
And then do I have a second?
Jennifer Blackman, I second.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Okay. And Dr. Medford, do you want to go ahead and say some words before we do the discussion and votes?
Apologies, I had a principal that needs some help, so I had to take a call. Like I mentioned before, I know that it is a time commitment to not only come and sit and be here, but to travel here from all over the district, right? There's a vast range of travel that's required and time in this meeting and outside to do the work, and we just want you to know that we're here to serve you, that we're here to work together, we're here to help in any way that we can. We value you guys and your time, so if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know, and we welcome the production that comes out from these next few meetings. So thanks again.
Okay, we're going to now, do we have any discussion regarding the minutes or any changes from on the minutes?
Dr. Merle, can we add clarification to the motion that was approved under HB 3908?
Okay. So we presented on House Bill or Tucker's Law. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're referencing, correct?
Yes, the motion that was approved. I was wondering if you could provide clarifying language on what was approved in that motion for the meeting.
What was approved was what had been presented in the chart that we would use the. I've got to go back and I'm pulling it out. Hold on just a second. Wade, what was the curriculums? Thank you. Catch curriculum we were using for the opioid use, but we did pull the slides, the questionable slide that we had in the previous SHAC, mm-hmm. which was a suicide slide and how it was presented, and we're dealing with that differently.
So would it be appropriate to say then the motion was to approve the catch curriculum without slide 8 and then substituting the Are You Okay?
Correct. I believe that was the slide. Is that correct, Wade?
Okay, and is that only for grade 6 or is that all through grade 6 through 12? Only for, so the curriculum remains the same for 7 through 12 with the suicide slide on it. And then for 6, the Are You Okay? Substitutes the suicide slide 8 in the catch? Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
And just be aware that because it is a bought curriculum, we could not remove the slide. The instructions were given to the counselors, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay, to not show that slide, to skip over that slide and go directly on. So just so everybody understands, we could not actually delete it from the presentation, but we did not cover it.
Okay, so the motion was to approve the curriculum and then just skip over slide 8.
Yeah,
and use the are you okay?
In the presentation, they omitted the slide and they went on.
Okay. I'm in consensus with approving the motion as long as that language is amended in the minutes to show what was actually approved at the meeting.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to try to get this right. I am going to go in order by who was here and parents first. Selena Bodovitz. And this is going to be a little bit painful, but I'm sorry, we're going to have the mic to record your vote via online. So, Jennifer Blackman, I assume, was a yes since you made the motion. Brittany Warner.
I wasn't here, but can I approve since I've reviewed them?
Yes,
Okay.
you're a member of
Okay.
SHAC. So.
Then I can approve them.
Thank you. Anna Brown.
Yes, I approve.
Okay, Kristen Brown.
I approve.
Kim Cameron.
I approve.
Dr. Chawla. Brenda Cooper.
I hate to be difficult. I wasn't here, so can I abstain?
You can abstain.
Okay.
Mary Jo Cox. Oh, sorry, she was not here. Becky Frelick. Ashley Hennon.
I approve.
Anna Hermes. Oh, sorry. Emily Hoppel.
Approve.
Thank you. Thank you. April Kersey.
Approve.
Kelly Loftus.
Approve.
Brent Maddox.
Approve.
Tina Marin.
Approve.
Lindsay, is it Massey? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Approve.
Kimberly McMullen.
Approve.
Aaron Miller.
I will abstain. Thank you.
Stephen Powell.
Abstain.
Jonathan Rizet.
I approve.
Sabrina Shepard.
Oh, I approve.
Thank you. Dr. Spear.
Approve.
Brianne Turner.
Approve.
Carrie Welch.
Approve.
Tina Aurora. Is that correct?
Abstain. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Adele Fiola. Adele, sorry. I'm chopping that up.
Adele Fola.
Fola, sorry.
I was not in that meeting, so I will choose to abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the jumble. Krista Casio.
Approve.
Malik Cobbler.
I was not in that meeting, so I abstain.
Erica Falcon.
Also abstain due to not being in attendance.
Dana Fisher.
I'll abstain, not in attendance.
Dina Graves.
Approve.
Rachel Jones.
I was not in that meeting, so I abstain.
Dr. Klepesky.
Approve.
Emily Kress.
Approve.
Laura Lansbaum.
Abstain.
Mel Middleton.
Abstain.
Dr. Moore.
Approve.
Victoria Reed.
I was not in attendance. I'm going to abstain.
Margaret Sachs.
I will abstain for not being in attendance.
Lindsay Taylor.
Approve.
And Dr. Todd.
Approve.
All right. And, oh, I'm sorry. What's the last name? Susan Moore. I'm sorry.
Susan Moore, I approve.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Next item on the list, and is community feedback. Just so you know what we had in community feedback, we have an email address for SHAC, and they're able to send questions into SHAC for responses. And we had a membership question that I responded to about the normal process and when it starts and when it closes. We had the use of latex in the cafeteria question and latex balloons with latex allergies, and I got with our child nutrition and we responded to that question, that we have alternatives in vinyl gloves that we also use and utilize. And then a question about the wellness plan and questions about food and activity as a punishment/reward. And I was able to address that this week with that individual and I believe campus as well. So we go to the next item on the agenda is the selection of parent officers, a chair, a co-chair if necessary, and a secretary. So at this time, we'll take any nominations. You can self-nominate or you can be nominated by another individual, but then that individual would have to accept the nomination. So I will open the floor at this time for nominations for the chair. Not everybody at once.
Hi, I would like to nominate Dr. Spear. I was on SHAC the last 2 years, and I think she did an excellent job leading the group, facilitating meetings, keeping us on track, respecting our time, and did a really good job of making sure that any voice that wanted to be heard had the opportunity to speak. So I really appreciated the time and energy she put into preparing for these meetings and leading the meetings. So I also think she did a really good job representing the SHAC to the board. Even when she was, had some tough questions sent her way, she did a good job responding professionally. So I'd like to nominate Dr. Spear as parent chair.
Okay, Dr. Spear, would you accept that nomination? Is there anybody else that would want to be nominated for chair?
I have a question, if I may ask. Who was the chair, the parent chair in October when we first met?
So the October chair was Dr. Holly Moore, which was a parent at the time. She since has moved from parent to employee, so she was not eligible to run again because the chair does have to be a parent.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to skip over one and go to secretary. Do we have a nomination for secretary? The secretary at the October meeting was Ryan. I don't know if he's still interested. But do we have any other nominations for secretary?
Is Ryan here tonight?
Ryan is not here. He was not able to attend today.
If he's willing to do it, I think I have no problem with him continuing doing it as long as he's willing. Do you happen to know, Dr. Merle?
I think he would be. He volunteered the last time. I don't see why not.
Unless anyone else is dying.
I mean, he was already in place. Okay, the other position is a co-chair, and we need to determine if we need a co-chair. And so the co-chair would take place in case the chair could not be here. They would run the meetings and manage the meetings. And the co-chair also needs to be a parent. Any volunteers? Any nominations?
I think it's okay not to have one if we're happy to just have a
If you're happy with that, that is fine.
And if Dr. Spear can't come for some reason, then somebody gets the nod and can help lead the meeting.
Okay. All right. So the okay. So the chair is in charge of basically organizing the meeting, setting the agenda, making sure that all the information is into me so I can post it on the website, to make the request to have the appropriate people here to give information, to keep everything organized and moving along. Dr. Spear, is that kind of...
Yeah, I think you've summarized it well. And my role in I was chair the last 2 years for the Shack, and so I was responsible for everything you said, and just maintaining open lines of communication with everyone on the Shack, helping organize the committees and the work groups and the work that needs to be done, and then just making sure we stay compliant with Texas Education Code, being familiar with the statutes, with the board policy, and then making sure the Shack is operating consistent with what the state of Texas has asked us to do. So,
and part of that to add is helping and working with me for the presentation to the board, and working and helping with the presentation to the board.
Yeah,
working on the presentation and presenting. How's that?
He's talking about the end of year report. So we compile everything the Shack does through the year, and we submit a formal record to the Board of Trustees because that's our direct report. So we do that, and then I also help with the slide deck and make sure all the slides are present, get them over to Dr. Merle, and just make sure everything runs smoothly. So that's the role.
Okay, and the secretary's in charge of really the minutes and keeping track of the minutes and making sure that the minutes are written up each time, each meeting, and getting those to me to post on the website as a draft and to send out to the committee. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question because I am new to these meetings. For my own well-being and knowledge, I would like to print out bylaws so I know exactly what you all are talking about.
Okay.
So I know the bylaws have gone back and forth. I don't know what the current bylaws are, so I don't know, I personally would like to know how many years in a row you all, like everybody can hold positions and whatnot. So when I go home, I will print them. What date am I looking for?
You want to go to this year's Shack, the 24-25 school year, and the bylaws that are posted are the current bylaws.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I emailed you the link as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions or anything else? So the first order of business is the chair. The nomination has been Bryce Spear. Do I have a motion for Bryce?
Motion, Ashley Heinen.
Oh, thank you, Ashley.
Second, Tina Rajo.
Sorry, I've got to mark this right. Okay. Here we go again now. Any discussion? And even though we have one, we still have to vote. So here we go again. So hopefully everybody will vote this time. So Selena?
I vote yes.
Jennifer Blackman?
Yes.
Brittany
Berner, yes.
Anna Brown?
Yes, sorry, just reading the bylaws. And so this is your second term? Third, okay. If I'm reading this correctly, it says no more than 2 consecutive terms in the same office, or no? Okay.
So you would be in the middle of your, this would be your second term, is that correct? Is this your third year? Okay. End of the first term.
So SHAC shall elect a parent, co-chair, and secretary, each to serve 1-year term. And then they may not serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same office. Is that accurate? I'm not trying to be difficult.
No.
Sorry. You're talking about printing the bylaws. I just want to hold them up.
Okay, I don't. And where did you pull these from?
From your email. This was in September.
Okay, so the September email?
Yes.
So that's the old bylaws.
Okay, and so the new ones.
The new ones are off the web page. If you go to the Conroe ISD web page or the. Yeah, good. She was referring to the September email, which were the old bylaws.
So, Dr. Merle, we approved, for those of us that were here in October, we approved the bylaws. Is that correct?
No.
No. So when were the bylaws that were actually in our notebook approved?
The process of this was the previous Board of Trustees.
Dr. Merle, do you mind speaking to the mic?
I forgot. The mic. Change it to the table. The previous bylaws that we were operating at the October meeting were adopted by the previous Board of Trustees, and I believe it was August that was adopted. The new board came in and made a change in the November board meeting and put bylaws that were in previously. Prior to that, returned those bylaws to be active now. So we had a meeting under the board approved bylaws in August. We had a meeting in October, and then the board changed the bylaws back. And so we had a meeting. So this is the first meeting with those bylaws. Yes, ma'am.
Kristen Brown. By the current bylaws, there should be no more than 31 members.
Correct. And the board did make an adjustment at the November board meeting that anybody that had previously served on the SHAC committee and still qualified could return back to the SHAC committee because of the change in the bylaws. And then anybody that had applied to the SHAC committee in an appropriate manner while the bylaws that we're operating under now were in place last spring, would be automatically placed on the Shack committee with their approval. So they were willing to take more than 31 on this time, and they approved that as part of their agenda item.
And that's just not reflected in the bylaws.
It's not reflected in the bylaws because they made that adjustment for this time only, from my understanding.
Well, Dr. Merle, should we, as a Shack committee, determine what we want the bylaws to be as us as the committee right now with all of us? Because if we vote on what we think the minutes or the bylaws should be, then we take what we think it should be and take it to the board and have them approve or not approve. Is that correct?
So first, I think the bylaws that are in place are what we have to operate under today. The Shack committee could take up an item and consider if they want to redo the bylaws and present those bylaws to the board for their approval if there are adjustments that need to be made or want to be made. But it would be this Shack committee's decision to do that.
Well, can we wait and vote on those members? I'm not sure. I think that there's confusion about everything since the committee is different this time than it was last time, and the bylaws are different than they were last time, that there seems to be confusion. I didn't know if we could wait to do that.
No, the board was clear on who the membership would be, and the membership in this room has been vetted and meets what the board intended, so that membership is what it is, and this group of Shack is in place. And from this point forward, this Shack committee can make recommendations for changes to the board on the bylaws, as they will make recommendations to the board on other topics. And then the board can take that into consideration. Ultimately, it is the board's decision, but this Shack has to convene and then make a decision, and it can't convene until it has its chair and secretary in place. Because I'm doing this as the district representative, but technically I'm not part of Shack, the Shack committee. I am just an advisor.
Point of order, we're voting on a motion and a second.
We have a motion,
Yes,
and we have a second for Dr. Spear to be the chair of the Shack committee for this year, for this term. Any other questions? Great questions, thank you.
Dr. Merle, if I may, I'm sorry, I don't want to slow us down. I do have one more question related to the bylaws themselves. I know it's indicated the 3-year appointment of members, but I didn't see anything related to officers and their terms. So because there's nothing there related to that, is there no limit related to that in terms of the changes? And I worry this will come across wrong because Dr. Spear, I think you're wonderful, but just am wondering about that. If there's any, look at changing being the 3rd year, or if those limits apply only to, if there's only a limit related to membership appointment and not to officer terms per se.
I can answer some of that. I helped with the bylaws when they were drafted a couple years ago. The current bylaws don't have anything limiting officer roles and duration. It just says every year they'll be appointed. So it can be the same person, not the same person. The committee gets to decide. But it also says one of these standing committees is the bylaws committee. And so all of these things, whoever's interested can join the subcommittee. I think we'll talk about that later, of which subcommittees we need, and can talk about these things. If we're not happy with the current bylaws, then we have the opportunity to change them. We just need to go offline, figure out what those changes look like, and bring it back to the group. Is kind of the process. But yeah, I think all these topics can be discussed, as necessary. But currently, as it stands, there's no limitation on officer timing.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, we'll continue with the vote. Anna Brown?
Appreciative of all the clarification. I approve.
Kristen Brown?
Approve.
Kim Cameron?
I approve.
Dr. Chawla?
Approve.
Brenda Cooper,
Approve.
Christina Davis,
Approve.
Becky Frelick, Anna Hermes. Sorry. Emily Hopple,
Approve.
April Kersey,
Approve.
Kelly Loftus,
Approve.
Brent Maddox,
Approve.
Tina Marin,
Approve.
Lindsay Messia,
Approve.
Kimberly McMullen,
Approve.
Aaron Miller,
Approve.
Stephen Powell,
Approve.
Jonathan Rozak,
Approve.
Sabrina Shepard,
Approve.
Dr. Spear. Vote for yourself.
Yes, I am.
Brianna Turner, Carrie Welch,
Approve.
Sabrina Yamani. Oh, sorry, she's not here today. Amanda Chisholm. Sorry, I can't read here. Fola Adele.
Approve.
Krista Cassian.
Approve.
Mela Cobbler.
Approve.
Erica Falcon.
Approve.
Dana Fisher.
Approve.
Dina Graves.
Approve.
Rachel Jones.
Approve.
Dr. Klepesky.
Approve.
Emily Chris.
Approve.
Laura Lansbaum.
Approve.
Mel Middleton.
Approve.
Dr. Moore.
Approve.
Susan Moore.
Approve.
Victoria Reed.
Approve.
Margaret Saxon.
Approve.
Lindsay Taylor.
Approve.
And Dr. Todd.
Approve.
All right. Congratulations, Dr. Spear. All right. Secretary, we have to continue with Ryan as the secretary. I don't know if we need to vote on that. He was in position. Since we're under new bylaws. April, thoughts?
This is my personal opinion. I don't speak for Shaq, but I'm fine with not voting. Or you can do kind of a show of hands to make sure everyone confirms, but I think he's continuing in his role, and no one else has offered to take the position, and we need a secretary. So I think
okay.
So he. I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, so Dr. Spear, come on down. It's all yours. will if you want me to.
Absolutely.
All right, friends, thank you for that. I just want to tell you that I see this role as chair as a servant leadership position. So I'm available to any of you at any time. Email me if you need me. I will represent you in the best way that I can. And I think our biggest strength is the diversity in this room and the opinions that come. And so I want everyone's voice to be heard. I think that's what makes the Shack so effective. So with that, our next order of business is the wellness plan review and discussion.
I'll stand up a little bit. So kind of introducing the wellness plan. First of all, I want to make sure everybody understands is we did a wellness plan assessment last spring, which is required every 3 years. It is not required to update the wellness plan. It's just to do the assessment. However, when we did the assessment, we felt like the wellness plan needed to be reviewed, and we started that process in October. Then, but I want you to know and be clear too, the wellness plan of the previous wellness plan is in place until a new wellness plan is put into place. As you look at that, we want to be fair to schools as we put it into place. So this plan, we want to evaluate, as we evaluate schools this school year, we would still use the previous plan since we have already gone over half the school year, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So this is really creating a new plan as we venture into next year. And so you take a breath and you go, oh, we have time. Well, you really don't have time because schools are planning now and they're starting the planning process over the next 2 months of what this next school year is going to look like, and then hiring takes place, which could be impacted and so on. So the sooner that we are able to create a wellness plan that's acceptable and approved by us, by you as a Shack committee, and making that recommendation to the board so that they can approve it, the better. Just know that it takes time. So as we meet today, the next available board meeting for this to be an item would be at the earliest the February board meeting. And then our next meeting is scheduled for, I believe, March. And so if we wait till the March, then it's the April board meeting, and so on, if you see how that works. So so it is something that we need to pay attention to. So the wellness plan, both the previous wellness plan, which is still posted on the Shack website, was sent out, as well as the draft of the wellness plan that the October 8th Shack committee group put together. As well as we have some guests in the room. We have Barbara Robertson, our Director of Health Services. We have Robin Hughes, the Director of Child Nutrition. And we have Wade Haymark, is the Coordinator of PE and Health. Is that correct? I got to make sure I get everybody's title right. I can't remember mine. So, but they are the ones that really drive this as you look at the wellness report. So first of all, why do we have to have a wellness report? It is part of the statutes to receive federal funding for the school lunch program, for free and reduced lunch. That is the main driver. They have requirements of what has to be in a wellness plan. And so we meet those requirements with our current plan. But I want to point out this current plan was done during COVID. And I was talking to somebody else, and we were happy that kids were coming to school and our schools did not close during that time once we returned. And we were very happy with that. The wellness plan was created that very first year we were back in school. So, we were satisfied with that. But now as we look at it, obviously we wanted to make it a more meaningful document when we went through it. So those three got together and created the wellness plan looking at how it's evaluated. The evaluation, and Barbara, you may want to speak on this a little bit because you probably have the most experience of how it's evaluated, that it's not evaluating the items, it's how you evaluate, how your evaluation is. So you're going to have to explain it. It makes more sense when you do it.
That's correct. So what we are looking at when you want to evaluate your wellness policy and your wellness plan, which is a requirement every 3 years, called the triennial assessment. So the structure is to look at a model plan. What would be the ideal plan that your district would use? And so we chose the WellSat 3.0, which is out of, I believe, Rutgers University. And so you're able to enter in looking at your wellness policy. So we looked at FFA legal, FFA local, and our wellness plan. And we measured each one of our objectives or statements or actions to see, do we have that in there? And so when we came up with our score for the WellSat, it showed us that we were having some weaknesses in certain areas. Now that will be your decision to look at to decide if that is a truly weakness for Conroe ISD, or is that not something that we want. For instance, I believe we got a 0 on the WellSat for school gardens. Well, that may not be feasible in a district our size. So your consensus may be that we're still going to get a 0, right? That's not a score that is for anyone else other than yourself to decide what do we feel are important to be in our wellness plan. So in doing that, WellSat, we got together, we all did it independently, and I'm talking about Director Hughes and Mr. Haymark and Dana Fisher, our specialist, and myself. We did them separately, and then we entered it in collaboratively to see if we all felt the same way. And we were very, very close on where we were. So WellSat was actually provided to you all in the June meeting, I believe, Dr. Spear. And so I think that's probably in the archives if somebody has a question about how we scored on that. So that you can see, we kind of looked at where were the zeros. And so that's where this draft came. If you understand what is required by law, those are the goals. And if you look on the draft plan on page 3, that's the goals. And those are what is set out in our board policy. And by looking at the goals, we do meet the requirements set out by the federal government for that. What we seem to be missing or short on were some SMART goals, some objectives to implement these goals. And how do we help our campuses become compliant? How do we help them implement? We've told them we want you to do X, Y, Z, but we hadn't told them how we want to evaluate that, how we want to get them from A to Z, right? So that's your charge, is to start with the draft, is what I would recommend, and then see where do you feel is the most important parts to keep, and keep in mind that, like Dr. Merle said, time is of the essence because we'll want to put this in place for the 25-26 school year, and that will take you this spring to be able to do that. And as Dr. Merle said, we'll be evaluating our campuses this year on our current plan. It's not a previous plan, really. It's not a past plan. It is the current plan until you all have a consensus and you adopt a new wellness plan. And in the draft, if you will look under the evaluation section on the first page, the second paragraph, what we have proposed is that, which is very common to other districts, is that let's start somewhere, right? And so you're not talking about a 10-year plan, right? We would like to have a 3-year plan, would probably be really good, but you would evaluate this each year to see, is this doable? Our campus is struggling with that. How can we help them with that? Is that not an objective we want in there? And so don't think of this as something that is a one and done. It is a growing document and a plan that will help our campuses to implement what the federal government is expecting because we participate in the lunch and breakfast programs. I hope that helps.
Thank you. So at this point, there is a choice. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Spear for that information.
So a lot of us, because we're starting here in January, I know I listened to the October, I guess I could just hold this. I listened to the October meeting. I'm not clear that all the members in this room have had adequate access to be able to compare before and after WellSat plans or the wellness plans, and then also review the triennial data. The triennial assessment data had some marks that show room for improvement with our district. And so personally, I'm reluctant to approve any plans until we go through and really look at everything with a fine-tooth comb. In preparation for tonight's meeting, I did look at the local FFA policy and the legal FFA policy, which guide these documents. And so I have some questions that I'm happy to go through, and I know a couple members reached out to me and just talking with my other SHAC friends about their concerns. There are some substantive concerns about whether or not this meets the goals we're intending. So I'm happy to entertain any discussion at this moment. I also would propose that we table this item, put together a work group, and go through this with a fine-tooth comb so we can come back with a complete comprehensive package and work concurrently with the district so we're all on the same page for what's in the best interest of the students and employees in the district for health and wellness.
Well, Dr. Spear, those were us that were here in October. Did we do that and submit what we did in our groups? I don't know who all was here.
So that is correct. So we met in groups during the October meeting to work on the wellness plan, and then those groups continued for the next month working on it online and editing the document, making recommendations, and the document is based off of all those recommendations that were put in by the group at that time.
Okay, do you have a copy of that, or can you send that over? I can see the edited changes and the recommendations. Again, I'm happy to proceed if there's a motion on the table to approve this, but I first would like to open this up for conversation. So any members that have concerns about the document or feedback or room for improvement, please share. I think she's first and then you, Brent.
Okay, so my name is Susan Moore, and I am a music teacher in the district. And I just wanted to clarify, on Goal 6, it says pre-K through 6 students shall have a minimum of 30, and there's an asterisk, and there's no definition of what that asterisk is, minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity or 135 minutes weekly. I just want to confirm that that is an or, and that our schools have the opportunity to either do 30 minutes of PE daily, or they can take that 135 minutes weekly.
I wanted to address that also. I'm looking at the Texas Education Code right now because a campus of my size, I don't meet the 45-to-1 and getting all my students in 30 minutes every single day. So on Texas Education Code, it states a school district or open charter school that uses block scheduling may permit a student to participate in 225 minutes of PE over 2 weeks as an alternative. So that's the code that I have used at my campus for safety reasons. And we actually have 275 minutes over 2 weeks. So we're exceeding that, but it's not 30 minutes daily due to safety. So I just wanted to throw out a caveat that schools with certain enrollment sizes may not be able to safely schedule 30 minutes daily.
Well, and it also says on the Texas Education Code, that's 28.002L, it says that the school district can determine, it can not require that 30 minutes, that it can do the 135 minutes. I just wanted to confirm what it was, that was the case, is Goal 6 in our wellness plan right now, and that just that asterisk just doesn't, there's nothing in the document that says what that is.
Right, I see your point, and I don't have additional information on that right now. Mr. Haymark or Ms. Robertson, do you want to comment? And then Mr. Maddox.
Honestly, it appears that the asterisk is a typo because it's written exactly as the TEA has informed us that each campus must have 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous or 135 per week. So the asterisk is a typo.
So then our campuses are allowed to make the choice of 30 minutes or 135. Is that what this document is saying?
That's not my decision.
Okay. But this proposal that's going to the board then says that.
It's written exactly as presented.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Maddox?
All right, so I don't know quite how to do this. I'll try to say it succinctly. Is that I appreciate the WellSat comparison and the goals that are put out, but I think we as parents and staff, we should be able to take our personal experiences and look at the wellness policy and say, where does it look like it's going to fail? And I think that was a perfect example that just got brought up. But I think we can. My concern is if you look at the previous wellness plan, I can look at that and I can find examples where current policy and current guidelines fail to meet that. For example, we have a goal in the last wellness plan that says all foods made available on campus comply with federal, state, local food safety and sanitation regulations. And it says all food that's provided to students has to abide by that. So that's not talking about the child nutrition program or lunch and breakfast. That's talking about the food that's provided to students. Right now, if you look at the intermediate and elementary school handbooks, they say that all food that's provided to students must be store-bought or produced in a commercial kitchen. The high school handbook says that parents cannot provide food to other students except for their own student. However, the principal at Woodlands High School, as well as the assistant superintendent, believe that other students should be able to provide homemade food to other students. That's an illogical fallacy here that this wellness plan, the previous wellness plan, seems to exclude, yet we know in practice that it's happening and it's being allowed at the district, yet it's in this wellness plan. Mm-hmm. And so I think we should be looking at the previous wellness plan first and saying, where does it fail, where does it not work, and how do we fix that? And I think one of the things that really bothers me kind of with the wellness plan that we mulled over in October is that a lot of the goals are very arbitrary, they're very just generic, and there's no real movement of the wellness plan. It's just, these are nice things to say on paper. And I don't know if they're necessarily going to improve the wellness, of our student population as a whole. So,
thank you. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Heinen.
So the WellSat has different categories that's assessing our current plan, and on those results, there are categories about talking about using food for reward or punishment, as well as physical activity. And so, it's scored on there, but now we move to the current draft of the wellness plan, and we have removed those items and actually replaced, we should encourage physical activity where feasible as a reward. We should not associate physical activity, my opinion, or food as merit to students.
Reward or punishment.
Right. And take into account someone who may have a physical impairment. Mm-hmm. And the teacher says, this is the reward dog, and they're like, that really isn't appetizing to me because I can't participate in that because I am physically handicapped. Mm-hmm. So that really is a downer for me. And maybe I don't want to finish I don't want that to be a reward, so I won't even do the assignment.
Right.
Right? So it's
I think all of the concerns that are brought forward are valid and really speak to the point that this plan as is not ready to be approved. Whatever changes that were or were not made to it, what was sent to the members, and then even with my own research, I have some questions legally on whether or not we are in compliance with FFA local, specifically about language regarding benchmarks, the district standards for food and beverages provided. Those things I don't think we're going to settle at this meeting. And there is passion in the room for working on this. So I can send an email. Anyone who's interested, we can start setting up some Zoom meetings or try to meet in person to get really something that's going to be successful for our students, our faculty, our campuses, because we want this to work. We don't want to be looking at another WellSat result where we didn't really score that well, if I'm being honest. If you want to take a look, I'm happy to share it. But there's a lot of zeros on there, and these are our kids, and they're in school for 8 hours a day, and health and fitness and wellness is a really big deal. So we need to be creating a plan, in my opinion, to the district, with the district, to the board, that echoes the sentiment that we really do desire our kids to be healthier, and we're going to do what we can do to make sure we get a plan in place that works for concerns like Dr. Kopleski with her campus and the way the scheduling is. We've got to make sure that it's written in language that allows fitness and health and wellness to be a priority, but still gives campuses flexibility enough to implement appropriately.
Dr. Spear?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm behind you.
Where?
It's me.
Oh, I'm like,
If it's okay, I'll forward it to you and you can share, but there is the Texas Education Code that you're talking about, Ms. Moore. It talks about if the school determines for any particular grade level below grade 6 that requiring moderate or vigorous daily physical activity is impractical due to scheduling or other factors. So while there is a caveat, those have to be met. It can't just be because we decided, right? Like, or we wanted to. So I just think we need to make sure that we go into that second paragraph and make sure that we denote that so we're clear.
100%.
So just, and I can forward
Absolutely.
this to you. There's an FAQ. It's number 24.
okay.
I have a question and maybe some comments too.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess first for our district staff, like if we take more time for all of these people to review this, like are we causing issues as we were talking about, like we have a new school year starting, like is another month? I'm looking to you, but whoever's the right person to maybe answer, like how much time do we have to get feedback to you so that you have a practical amount of time to prepare for these changes?
I can't really speak to the board timeline, but what you would want to be able to communicate to your campus principals is well ahead of next school year. You know, it would not be fair to them to come in September or October of next year and say, oh, wait a minute, we're now going to do this. That was 3 pages. This is 21. Get busy. Right. So I think you have some time, but I think your time is limited if you really want something in place and fair to the principals and to also communicate to your parents and your community. This is what we want to do, but you need to be ready to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I am new, and so I did print both versions, and I won't say that I poured over them with a fine-tooth comb. I tried to just kind of do some quick reviews, and it's obvious the newer one is much longer than the older one, much more detailed in my viewpoint. And I guess the only other thing I'm seeing, and I think appreciated the additional clarification on the under 6th grade, because I mean I know that my kids have been in a school that has been overcrowded the entire time my kids have been in it, just due to the way that we support bonds and choose to grow in this district. And so, you know, I'm sensitive to the fact that while I would have loved my oldest child to have had PE every day, his school just did not have the capacity with a cafetorium to do that for the students that they had to deal with, because we don't build new schools faster. So, you know, I guess as much as I'd love to go through here, and I just would just caution that to the people in this room, like, hey, I'd love for us to meet threes on all of these, but how realistic are we being also with our recommendations, knowing that the general allotment has not changed since 2019, that our state continues to hold back billions of dollars of funds that they could have passed to us last legislative session, that maybe that won't change this time. How do we, you know, make sure we're reflecting that as well?
Yeah, I think all the points that you share are valid, which I would say pushes that to us making sure that whatever is implemented is able to be implemented successfully. And so we don't want to be back in a situation where the wellness plan that we had but previously really couldn't be done because those things weren't really thought through, or maybe they were, or maybe COVID hit. I don't know. I wasn't there when that happened. But to all your points, I think that makes it where we really do have a significant responsibility to come up with a plan that will work. And there's a couple things in this current one I think that we could address as a shack and come out really strong, helping the health and wellness of our students.
Dr. Spear, I do have a question over here. Sorry about that. Yeah, in terms of complying and also meeting the requirements so that we are able to participate in free and reduced price lunch, is there any danger by postponing this, or is there any danger to that, or are we still operating under the previous plan or the current plan, not previous plan, but under the current plan, so there's no danger in postponing or tabling, right?
Sure. That's an excellent question. The financial piece, given the comments that have been made, that we can continue to operate under our current plan, I think are answer that, but I'll defer to Dr. Merle for sure on that data piece.
That is correct. We are in compliance at this point as we operate under the current wellness plan until a new one's in place, and there is no guideline of when you have to complete the new wellness plan. It's just you have to do the triennial assessment is all that's in there.
So you said you're going to share, like, are we able to see these scores that you're talking about? Like, I would like to know what have we gotten a 0 in, and it kind of goes with what Ms. Hoppel was saying. Are these feasible? You know, I understand we're going to have zeros in some things probably because of our overcrowdedness and all those kind of things. So I would like to see what are we in 3s, 2s, 1s, 0s before saying it needs to be redone.
Well, Dr. Merle can send those out. I don't have access personally. I have what I saved from previous time, but to be clear, the wellness plan that's been presented is different than the previous one. So what I'm saying isn't to overhaul to change everything. I'm just saying to make sure all our I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and we address the campus concerns. And we have campus employees that have said, hey, this would be a problem for my campus. So how do we as a shack say, good to go? I don't think that's quite appropriate. I think we need to listen to all the voices here, and given the consensus, we'll vote on it, but I think we need to really listen to what people are saying. So I hope that answers your question, Ms. Kress.
I just want to know, I would like to know where our scores are currently.
Yeah, Dr. Merle will send
Yeah.
And the triennial assessment is posted on the Shack website.
Oh, the WellSat. All right. Any further discussion? Someone?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, just from the experience, and I was someone that was here in October, we did spend a decent amount of time talking about this and kind of broke up into groups and like went through things section by section. One thing I appreciated about that, and I think at some point if there's a subcommittee for this or whatever the Shack decides to do or how they decide to address it, by doing it in whole committee, I think we were able to get a lot more input than sometimes running the risk of subcommittees. If it's at 1 o'clock on a Thursday, then none of our teaching staff would be able to participate. And so if it is something that we do decide to delegate or as a committee want to break it up into a subcommittee, it just needs to be at a time that as many people that want to participate and share their opinions have the opportunity to, so that it's very inclusive of all ideas that are here and all representation of all opinions that might be shared.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to table this and gather a work group so we can go through this with the intent of communicating the plan back to the Shack for our next Shack meeting in March?
I move that we table it until the next meeting.
A second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I was just going to add, and prior, when we were doing the bylaws and things a couple years ago, I think it was Holly that made the comment. We created a document so that if you couldn't attend the meeting, you did have the opportunity to read and provide any feedback. So there's kind of different ways that we can work, because obviously there's never a meeting time that works for everybody. So I think we can kind of scratch the itch by doing it a couple different ways, just to make sure people have the opportunity to provide input. And even if there is a work group, it will come back to full Shack for discussion and approval. So everyone will have the opportunity in a Shack meeting to discuss.
Yes. All right. So we have a motion on the table. We have a second. It's time to vote. Yep. Go ahead.
Sorry, got to get this. Selena?
I vote yes to table it. But with the understanding that we're going to have meetings beforehand so that when we come back to our next meeting, we're ready to present it.
Yes, I think.
Let's make sure, because the
so
motion was just to table it.
Yeah. The motion is to table it and do work groups between now and March, so we have a document that's ready to go for our March meeting.
Are we able to add in there kind of what she was saying about, my fear is this committee is going to happen, like she said, at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday, where it's just a select few people that are able to attend that. I just want to make sure that it's either a time like where everyone can, or there's multiple opportunities that teachers also and parents and, people working have the chance.
Yes, absolutely. So historically, when we've had major projects like this on the shack, what we do is we send out a Google poll. Everyone that's interested, we'll look at some times that work. We'll put some times in there. If nothing works, we'll keep finding a time. But we meet multiple times, different times a day. I also work full time. So I'm extremely sensitive to the lack of daytime availability. And then I'm also sensitive to the evening time, bedtime routine. So I hear you. We've also done a working document where you have access to the share drive and you can see and put your comments, make your recommendations, and everyone can follow along. So if you work best at 3 a.m., you can get it at 3 a.m. So the intent is to hear everyone's feedback 100%.
Okay. Jennifer Blackman.
Sorry, I'd like one more clarification. So the plan would be to then potentially have it up for approval at the March meeting.
Yes, that's the intent.
And that timeline is sufficient for people at the district to then implement it for next school year. Can anyone answer that question?
Yes, we can make it work.
Yes.
Okay, then my vote is yes.
Brittany.
Yes.
Anna Brown.
Yes.
Kristen Brown.
Yes.
Kim Cameron.
I'm sorry, I have another clarification question. I'm sorry. So we are voting to table a plan to overhaul our current plan, but the plan revisions are based on a WellSat, not necessarily anything out of compliance, anything out of state regulation, and nothing to do with community feedback. Is that correct? No. Okay, so we are tabling it to do a new plan based off of our WellSat scores.
We're tabling it because there are concerns about compliance. There is community feedback that it's not sufficient to meet the needs for the health and wellness of our students and our campuses. And our WellSat scores were unfavorable, so trying to target those gaps where we can improve the implementation on the plan overall. That's the intent.
Got it.
And I hope that it's not an overhaul. I'm so sorry, I cannot see your face.
No.
I hope that it's not an overhaul. I hope we tweak some things and we come back and I just want to make sure we're doing everything we need to do, but there are some things that are not fully compliant. When I read through this, I have a master's in health law and policy, and so I have looked through this from that standpoint and have some concerns. So all of the things you listed are the reasons why I think this merits getting a second look.
Got it. Yes.
Dr. Chal.
Yes. I think we should take a second look.
Brenda Cooper.
Yes.
Christiana Davis.
Yes.
Becky Frederick.
Yes.
Ashley Haney.
Yes.
Anna Hermes. Oh, sorry. Emily Hopple.
Yes.
April Kersey.
Yes.
Kelly Loftus.
Yes.
Brent Maddox.
Yes.
Tina Marin.
Yes.
Lindsay Messia.
Yes.
Kimberly McMullen.
Yes.
Aaron Miller.
Yes.
Stephen Powell.
Yes.
Jonathan Ruseka.
Yes.
Elizabeth Sargent. Oh, sorry, not here. Sabrina Shepard.
Yes.
Dr. Spear. Yes. Brianne Turner, sorry.
Thank you. Yes.
Carrie Welch.
Yes.
Tina Aurora. Aurora. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes. Tina Araujo.
Araujo. I'll get it. Fola Adele.
Yes.
Krista Cassie.
Yes.
Mayla.
That's Mila. Yes.
Mila, sorry. Erica Falcon.
Abstain.
Dana Fisher,
Yes.
Dina Graves, Rachel Jones,
Yes.
Dr. Klepeski,
Yes.
Emily Kress,
Yes.
Laura Lansbaum,
Yes.
Mel Middleton,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Susan Moore,
Yes.
Victoria Reed,
Yes.
Margaret Saxon,
Yes.
Lindsay Taylor. Oh, Sheila. Dr. Todd.
Yes.
So a motion passes. Our next agenda item is the SHAC subcommittees. So per our bylaws, we have four. We have membership, the bylaws subcommittee, the physical activity and fitness committee, and then we also have the compliance subcommittees. So the descriptions of each of these are listed in the bylaws. I will send out a Google poll spreadsheet. You can sign up with whatever you would like. You can join one, you can join none, you can join them all. Between now and March, once I get the group of who wants to do what, then I'll send you emails on how that works with establishing a parent chair, and then as a group, y'all will decide what is the priority, if any, for the section that you have. None of the committees are closed to full SHAC feedback. So if a member here says, you know, I want to change the bylaws, but I don't want to be on the bylaws subcommittee, please be sensitive to whatever concerns they have, and then try to incorporate that in whatever you're working on. So stay tuned. That will come out in an email so you can sign up. And we also understand that not everybody can make every meeting. It's not like if you don't show up, you can't be a part of it. Just come when you can, okay? Because everyone works, everyone's busy. We all have things that we do. So stay tuned for that and sign up if you would be interested in doing that. Our request for future agenda items, we can start. We have about 5 minutes left scheduled in this time frame. I want to be sensitive to people's time. For requests for future agenda items, if anyone has anything they would like to share now, or if you want to email me, I also can prepare that for our next meeting. And if any of those items fall within those subcommittees, I'll funnel them over. So I'll open the floor for any quick comments on that and see what you guys think.
Last meeting, I think it may have been Brent, when they were talking, or the request went out for future items for cell phones, to revisit the cell phone work we did a couple years ago. There's been a ton of new stuff come out, new technologies, new studies, all kinds of stuff in the last 2 years. And so I do think that's worth a visit. So I don't know if we want to put that under a mental health subcommittee like we did last time. That was the avenue we went. Or if we want to have a separate committee just focused on, cell phone in school. But I do think that's worth having an offshoot talking about that, and then bringing ideas back to full SHAC like we did last time.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. Dr. Chawla.
So just to clarify, so for the cell phone stuff, because we worked on that a lot. So is this new thing to talk about, because for the people that were there, it was a lot of work. So multiple meetings too. And then they adopted the policy. And then I think before we talk about that again, it would be like maybe talking to the campuses to see like, how is the enforcement? How is that going? Because the cell phone stuff is new. And I've heard comments from students and parents and other things that I do where, the kids might be complaining because there's a level of restriction or whatnot. But I think before we go back into digging in to do that again, because it took a lot of work, I think we need to see from the district how is it going? Mm-hmm. Are they having success? Is it difficult to implement, whatever the committee? because we were definitely about restricting cell phone use. And that's what we came and compromised on what we came up with, right? And then the board adopted it. But the policy, and I get the information for the policy like from my principal, right? I mean, I already know what it is, obviously, but you know, they do share that information. And I don't know if every parent here feels that way in terms of with their campus. But I think knowing how the implementation is going is key.
Yeah, agreed. I'll coordinate with Dr. Medford because she was over the district's district cell phone committee, and we can coordinate to get the data so that we have a big picture view for the next meeting with regarding the cell phone use on campus and to all the points I think that are being brought forward right now. Yes, Mr. Maddox.
Yeah, so the reason why I brought it up, just to be very succinct about it, was I want to empower parents to be able to tell their student, you don't get to take your cell phone to school today. And the problem is that as a parent, when 3 of my son's teachers are utilizing it in the class for part of their curriculum, lectures, whatever it may be, I can't tell my son, you don't get to take your cell phone today to school. And a lot of other parents I know feel that way as well. We can't restrict our children's access to their cell phone at school because our child can tell us, well, Miss such and such or Mr. such and such uses it in class. And that's very difficult for us to be able to say, you know, no, you don't get to have a cell phone today because, you know, whatever reason we may have for not letting them have a cell phone.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry. Can I add one? I'm sorry.
And I had a question about subcommittees. Were we going to have a subcommittee for suicide awareness prevention?
Yes, we can. I think that's really important. And it was also a previous, I know that with the board implementing suicide and really helping focus that in, the Shack started work. So for historical reference, the Shack 2 years ago, I think, started a mental health subcommittee for the purposes of figuring out what was most dramatically impacting the students' mental health. It was because a member of ours was deeply affected by a loss of a student in our district, and that's what motivated the Shack to take on mental health. And so we also are required by law to take on mental health. There's a whole legislative code delineating our responsibility to that. So the offshoots of our group tackling that were the suicide awareness toolkit, the cell phone committee, the bullying policy changes that we worked in collaboration with Dr. Taylor's office. There was a divorce support group that came out of that, and we had some massive growth and impact on our students for mental health and development. So yes, I'll add that group back to the survey so everyone has an opportunity to do that as well. Okay? Anything else? Last call. Oh, one more.
Sorry.
Two more.
In speaking to Ryan tonight, he was interested in running for a parent officer position. Is that something that we can still vote on in the next meeting to give him that option as opposed to just appointing him? Is that an option still, or can we not? He was interested in both secretary and co-chair, and so he is, in his words, hacking up a lung, so he couldn't come. And I appreciate that. Like, that's nice of him to not do that. But just, is that something that he would still have the choice, or do we still, like, I mean, I'm sure he's happy with secretary, but I don't know what the process would be for that.
Yeah, well, right now he was voted as secretary. If he doesn't want to do that and he wants to resign, we can revisit that as a Shack. I don't know that we can make that choice right now at 6 o'clock, but unless he doesn't want that and he wants to just resign from that position. But you can't serve in both capacities.
Well, he was elected in October, and so he had been informed that there might be a reorganization of the parent board. So Dr. Spear was voted in as chair. It was determined that there would be no co-chair, just by group response. And then, since he was already elected, it was decided just to keep him and move him forward. He's good.
I didn't mean to skip over agenda item 9 when I asked for the future agenda items. So agenda item 9 is the Shack communication, just to reiterate what Trustee Odenwaller shared. Any request for information or data from the district needs to go through myself, and I'll give it to President Odenweller or email President Odenweller directly. I am available by email anytime. I do check my emails at random times, so please excuse if I send an email and it's not a time you normally work, because my times are off a little bit. But I'm always available. Reach out with anything. I really mean that. I'm an open door. I'm happy to hear and listen and learn where each of y'all are coming from. So with that, call for adjournment. Yes, ma'am.
But the only other thing that I wanted to bring up was in terms of a future agenda item, which I think we could think about. We started to do some work on bullying, and the other question I would have is, what are some things, and this may be from the district level, as well as like administrative staff, like, what are some things that they feel are weak or in need of, because that's how I feel that suicide and then the cell phone and different things came up. So are there certain items that they think would be helpful for us to work on, we can bring up agenda items as we see fit, but are there other things? Would be my question to them.
Sure, we can definitely find that out. All right. So is that your motion to adjourn too? Second. Anyone second? Motion to adjourn? All right. All in favor? See you later.